The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell or hell of heaven. These are not reading glasses. I just thought they would help with my little reading shtick. That's an interesting quote. I have been thinking a lot about Twitter. I want to say lately, but not lately. I guess since I've joined for the past year and almost a half. I've been thinking about how great it is for me, and then how terrible it is for many others. I mean, when I joined, I heard most people say, I guess as a reputation, that Twitter was a dumpster fire, just all around super mean place. It's kind of like, the fabled unkind meanness of YouTube comments. Like, don't dive into the comments section. You'll regret it, So they kind of both had this sort of reputation for me in that sense. But as I've been on it, I've found a really lovely community there. And an actual community, a number of people who are in my core sort of mutual group. And we know each other, a lot of us have friends in common. Sometimes, often, we have conversations back and forth with a couple of us giving opinions about questions that are put out, or opinions people say, I think this, or I wonder that. And it's great. I love getting my questions out there because I'm a really curious person and I like to know what other people's takes are. That's why I'm so bad at doing hot takes, because I like knowing what your takes are. And as far as the YouTube's comments thing goes, I found those to be pretty good too. Now, I need to invest more into my YouTube community for my own channel. I know that, but I've invested a little bit more time on Twitter. I guess I understand that space a little bit better. But as so far, the YouTube comments have been pretty good under my own videos. Some criticisms, but I mean, one constructive criticism sent me to on a path within that night to completely redo a small short hot take I did, and it ended up being my most successful video, and I'm so glad I redid it. And it's all because of a YouTube comment of someone who was giving a really specific criticism that was meant to be a kindness, I suppose, to help me be better. I know that that's not always the norm, and the more people you have subscribed and the more followers you have, the more exponential the sort of jerk growth of people who reply. But I've really been thinking about this, and I think that there are certain tactics you can take to have a good Twitter experience. I know it's hard to find the people at first, but for me, I have found that if you wander into, and I don't do this often, I've also noticed this with others, if you wander into the realm of a space that isn't really your Twitter space, where it's a bunch of people outside of your bubble, and you make a really strong opinion statement, that doesn't usually go super well. I'm not saying don't do it. That's fine if you want to, but you will get opposition. It's a given that you will. And so then you'll, I don't know, depending on your agreeability factor, if those sorts of negative things get you down, then you might be down the rest of the day. But for me, I found if I stick with my community that I've sort of cultivated and speak to people who I know, I find that my experience is pretty good because people know me. And if they misunderstand something I'm saying, they actually will read it in the kindest way possible. And they'll say, hey, I don't know if this is what you mean, but is it this? I can have a conversation with someone and go back and forth in a way that is productive and helps me to refine what I think, even if I do totally disagree with them. I mean, I've said Twitter bubble in this video, but you can still disagree with people within your bubble, especially for me, because I'm sort of in the centrist, left of center, right of center, and there's a lot of overlap of similar but differing opinions. And I've tried to do that with my Twitter follows. I've tried to find people who are just different enough. Like they're kind to me, but we don't see fully eye to eye on everything. And they sit a bit more left of me, or a little bit more right. And anyway, so I just find, guys, that it doesn't have to be bad. That's what I'm trying to say about the cultivating a community. You do have a relationship with them in the end. If you disagree, your relationship, at least for me, is more important than being right. So I think that might be the key for making Twitter work well, is knowing the person, having a previous relationship with them, and then you can disagree with them, but in the end, you're still friends because you value that relationship and you both want that. And that's hard. It's hard to find on Twitter, but I mean, it doesn't have, the point is, okay, it just doesn't have to be all bad, is what I'm trying to say. You can be stubborn about not being rude or calling names. That's why I read the quote. You can make it a heaven or you can make it a hell. You can make it a runaway dumpster fire, or you could make it a sweet smelling meadow. I think that's a good place to end. So give me your thoughts. If you think I'm wrong, like totally let me know. If you agree, send me over an enthusiastic thumbs up with your comment. Subscribe if you haven't and you like my videos, and spread the word. I would love to add more individuals to my YouTube audience so that I can get more input. I do appreciate you guys' input a lot. You have been really gracious in your comments, and I do appreciate that. And follow me over on Twitter because that's where I live. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And I'm Andrea Lynn.